So I don't know anything that everybody else doesn't know factually, but I am very good at looking at certain things and thinking through strategies that the other side is very likely putting into place right now. And when I saw this post right here, Gavin Newsom says California is calling an emergency special session to safeguard fundamental freedoms we all hold dear. We will continue to stand up for basic American values. Okay, we're going to watch that. And we're going to comment on that because I think I know what's going on there. Most important in this video, though, and I cannot stress this enough, is this video right here. Okay, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but this is a young black student in Chicago who is openly saying that he supports Donald Trump, and you get to listen to the people in his class respond to him, which candidly, who cares what a bunch of young students say? But you get to hear what his teacher says to him. His white teacher, by the way, and it captures every single thing that I want to be able to communicate to people who are still brainwashed on the left. You know, like people who, and listen, people who are beyond repair, I don't care about them. But people who are smart, I know them personally. They're smart people and they're still over there, right? If I can get them to actually grasp what is in this video, there is no plausible way that they cannot see it and see what the world actually is. It's perfect. And we're going to follow that story up with this, which was posted to the public wall for Education Minnesota, which is a teachers union. And when you read this, after watching how this teacher interacts with this kid, you just start to get a grasp on what is going on in this country in the education system, because I don't think it's a tough pill for anyone to swallow that there is only one acceptable viewpoint that you're allowed to say when you're in schools in many parts of the country. Chicago, apparently, as an example. Okay. So let's listen to this kid because again, I cannot stress enough. Watch this and then let me explain to you what this actually is. It's very important. And then you're going to send it to every Democrat that you know.
I don't even like you.
What right is he taking away from women?
He don't like your race. He will spit on you. He don't even like
what right is he taking away from women?
He don't like y'all. He don't like none of us. He don't even like his own race.
What right is he taking away from women? Y'all still not answering my question. I've been asking for like 5 minutes. What was the answer?
We answered it.
Y'all brought up education once I asked that question. Because y'all don't even know what y'all talking about. Y'all just go on Twitter, look at what they say, and just run with it.
Myron, you go on Twitter. I watched the debate. I heard everything.
Y'all thought he was taking away abortions. He can't even do that.
Myron, what debate did you watch?
He's so stupid. Yes, please look at the Chromebook. So I want to see what right he's taking. Let me search it up. What right? Let's see what right he's taking away from women.
Look at what he's saying.
Let's see what right he's taking away from women. Let's watch it.
Okay, let's see what he's giving you when he is.
No, what right is he taking away from women?
Let's see.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it really quick here to point out that we all know that the answer is none. Okay, the best they can come up with is going to be Supreme Court, overturn Roe v. Wade. I get it. That's a huge, a huge deal for them. But candidly, Donald Trump did not do that. Donald Trump installed judges who then did it. But to act as though that is Donald Trump outlawing abortion is ludicrous. And he has openly said he will veto any federal limitation at all on anything having to do with the reproductive rights. And he also said that he wants to provide federal funding for IVF so that people can have more babies. When he says things like, did you hear the girl's response? And we're going to get to the teacher, which is 100 times worse. But she's he's like, what right is he taking away? Oh, he hates you. He hates black people. He hates Mexicans. And you're like, because that's all, they literally just feed people fortune cookie nonsense that's just not true. Provably false. Oh, really? He hates Mexicans and 50% of them voted for him? They're all racist towards Mexicans too? You know what I mean? You see what percentage of black people in the country voted for him? You think, because they're self-hating black people? Like, there has to be a point where the data forces a person who has a brain to re-examine the assumptions that they're making. Now, this is a young kid, but the grown-ups are in the same boat. Listen to this guy.
What he's doing for
because they said that last time.
The right to an abortion was over.
And y'all also said Project 25. He also said publicly he's not going to do no Project 25.
He's a liar. Do you believe him?
Body, my choice. That's what
Why do you need an abortion? Why do you care about abortion? You're in high school.
It doesn't matter.
You're in high school.
Women get pregnant. Women our ages get pregnant.
Is you
They
getting
get
pregnant?
raped.
Is you getting pregnant? Did you get pregnant once?
I shouldn't have to fear that though.
Are you even a? You're probably a virgin. You worried about the wrong things, yo. Abortion is never one of y'all lists. We got wars. People trying to have war with us, and y'all worried about abortion. Yo, is they slow? Y'all worried about abortion. Y'all not even having sex. Like, look at y'all.
It don't matter if we was.
Then we have to take, let's focus on the antebellum era during the Civil War, the origins of the Civil War.
Yeah, let's focus on that. People don't want to talk about how Trump is a good president. What's wrong with voting for?
Now, let's listen to the teacher start to interact with this kid. And this is where it gets so insane that, you know what? Actually, let me tone that down. This is where you get to see the point that we have all been making. And the reason why, this is why Trump won by the landslide. Okay? Because as soon as you see the way this actually is, you will never go back. There are 0 people going from right to left right now. And there are armies of people going from left to right. And it's because of this. This is one of the absolute biggest reasons right here. Like I said, watch this teacher and again, this is the point that is going to drill it right through the head of anyone with a brain.
That we could, well, just listen, that we could still be friends after the election. I said, no, we can't.
You stop being friends with us because they voted for Trump? Teacher, way more.
He's saying you can still be respectful and that you can still have mutual terms with that person despite others having different
What are you
sides
talking
to
about?
other.
He just said his friends, those that he hang with, and correct me if I'm wrong. You said they asked you is you still gonna be cool after this? Right or wrong. So what are you talking about, ma'am?
No, that, again, let's not single anybody out, Myron.
No, because he said that's not what you said. I'm like, what is he talking about?
She said anything.
Everybody entitled to their own opinion now.
Right. So
Right.
why would you cut somebody off because they voted for Trump?
He didn't say, well, he can be
You
what he
can't
wants.
dominate the discussion.
I never said you could.
If you want
Wanna
to,
cut somebody
if
out?
you want to have some input to the dialogue, then you have to do so in a respectful manner and to be tolerant of each other's views.
First of all, has this kid sounded at all disrespectful? Obviously not. Here we go.
Now, just because I think I expected that our country citizens were more decent.
Because they voted for Trump, they're not?
Yes.
What?
They're
He's a messed up person.
Yeah, what?
No, wait.
Our citizens not decent because they voted
No,
for Trump?
wait. You have your views, and I have mine. I'm entitled to mine.
But that's why you cut them off,
So
because
if
you don't
I have
correlate.
friends that tell me that, oh, MAGA, I can't be friends with them.
Because he voted for Trump.
Because
Exactly.
What?
you don't get it. It's
Some
like you
people
want to
can't have their
surround
own
yourself by somebody
opinion.
who
Trump
don't.
is a good president. Some of y'all are.
Okay, that's it. Now, this is the point that I'm going to make, okay? That I don't care if someone watches this and then listens to the following dialogue that I'm going to lay out and still can't see what we're all talking about, then I am going to tell you they are a fucking moron. I'm just going to say that right now. If you can't understand what I'm about to say after watching that, then you are not a smart person. If you think you're smart and you don't get this, then you're not a smart person, okay? Here's the deal. That is a teacher, an educator, in a position who is, the purpose of this entire thing is he's supposed to be educating students, okay? It's touchy to even talk about politics in general if you're an educator, except not so much in current state America, because apparently it's okay for teachers who support the Democrats to come in and say that, oh, you know, everything's racist, tyrant, dictator, all of that, which is so crazy to me that I can't even wrap my brain around it. But what's really crazy, okay, is this teacher just told a classroom of children that he won't be friends with anyone who voted for Trump. Like literally just said this in open, like just in open air, just like, yes, if someone voted for the other candidate, then I won't be friends with them. And here's the point that I want to make. The left is constantly saying that the MAGA Republicans are the big danger to whatever. Never in 1,000,000 years, ever, would you hear a Trump-supporting teacher say to a class of children that if they found out that their friend voted for Biden or Kamala, that they would cut them out of their life and think that that's a normal thing to say. Like, if there is a group, if you really want to get into the Nazi thing, like you really want to get into that conversation, this is not even moderately debatable, okay? It's them, okay? It's them. No one on the Trump side is saying, hey, let's round up people who voted for Democrats, you know, put them in camps or cut them all out of our lives. No one is saying that, okay? They've got these people so turned around based on nonsense, literal nonsense. They're indefensible position, like things that they say. Like, look, dude, if you don't like Trump, that's fine. Like, no, obviously, there's going to be, you know, between 40 and, 50% of the country at the end of any election where the person they wanted to win doesn't win. No one is saying you have to like the other candidate, right? But not liking another candidate and thinking it is okay to promote the idea that you should cut anyone out of your life if they voted for the other candidate is insanity, okay? That has never happened on the other side, nor would it ever happen. We are the sane ones. You are insane. Now, again, you want to go back to Nazi Germany? Do you think that they didn't have a really compelling story about why the Jews were doing XYZ to the population and that's why they had to go do that? Like, do you not understand? Do you really think that they had not brainwashed them into accepting the fact that this was a justified thing? You have 30% of Democrats who openly said they wished that Trump would have gotten hit in the face with that bullet on national television in front of his kids. Okay? I challenge any person. I challenge literally anyone. Now, I got trapped into some conversation with Destiny, which I didn't even understand I was in a debate. He said, come on my channel anytime. I didn't even know who the fuck he was. Didn't realize he was in a debate. But now, okay, you want to play fucking debate? I will debate literally anyone on this. That the Nazis are the left and that us, it's not. Like, these guys are brainwashed into oblivion. It's based on nothing. What they say about our side, based on nothing. And you want to know why I could say that it's based on nothing is because Trump was president for 4 years. Nothing that they are saying is going to happen happened. Nothing. And what's really crazy is the universal viewpoint of these same people who wish that Trump would have gotten, the 30% of Democrats who wished that the bullet would have hit Trump in the face in front of his children and on national television. They would have loved that image. Those people who definitely are the good guys, who actually wished violent death on an American presidential candidate, because they're definitely the good guys. Again, okay, that group, right? If the world is as they say it is, right, and the way that they're viewing it, okay, that's dire. That's really dire. Sword of Damocles over society. But what is required for that to be true is Joe Rogan needs to be an ultra right-wing nut, right? Joe Rogan has to be an unreasonable right-wing nut. And so does anyone else that these guys characterize that way. Jordan Peterson or any of these people, right? Me, I'm sure, if anybody knows who I am. And what's crazy is none of them will take the time to actually watch any of their long-form content. None of them. They will not take that time and listen. Okay? They will just take what is fed to them by the mainstream media that's owned by six corporations or whatever, which are billionaires who are, okay, like anyone who does a little bit of research, just a little bit of research, right, will very quickly find an absolutely overt lie in all of their sources of information. Okay. Anna Kasparian, famously, one of the most visible lefties in the world, Young Turks, like a co-host of the biggest left-wing internet show ever. And her awakening started when she got attacked. She got sexually assaulted by a homeless person. When she told the story, her side attacked her, saying that she was, putting a bad stigma on people who are experiencing homelessness or whatever. And then people told her to not call herself a woman because that was too insulting to the, whatever. And it's like people, you're supposed to refer to yourself as people with uteruses. And she's like, okay, you guys have gone too far. That's just one thing that gets the ball rolling, right? That same thing happened to me when some of this woke stuff, I was like, what? So then she found out what actually happened with Kyle Rittenhouse. Okay. Perfect example, right? I guarantee you that if you ask that teacher or the rest of that class the story of the Kyle Rittenhouse, they would probably, a bunch of them would still say that he murdered black protesters as a white supremacist. Okay. So Anna looked into the reality of that story and realized they had been completely lied to, like just a straight up fabricated story intentionally, because they knew they could paint this kid as a white supremacist Trump supporter who murdered black people at a BLM protest without actually lying to say that. They just made it seem like that in every single article. And what they didn't tell you is that it was a riot, first of all, not a protest, and that the first person he shot had just gotten out of doing a 12-year prison bid and for graping children, by the way. And his record inside a prison, the guy literally attacked guards. This dude was a violent psychopath. And he said, pointed on video in his face to Kyle Rittenhouse, I'm going to kill you. And Rittenhouse is there very calm, chilling. He's been offering medical assistance to people all over the place. That guy chased him down, threatening to kill him. And when he tried to grab the assault rifle, Rittenhouse pulled the trigger and that guy dies. Okay, that's a Black Lives Matter protester, guy who's been out of prison for 1 day, and then on video, all that. And then the other guys attacked Rittenhouse, hit him with a skateboard in the head, and then the other guy put a gun to his head. And they're all white. Okay, so as soon as you recognize that a story that big had been intentionally misrepresented like that, you're gonna go, whoa. There's always gonna be a moment where something so overt and so intentionally dishonest will wake people up. It's like, wait a minute, I read about that in the New York Times. I read about that in Washington Post. They all lied about that? It doesn't have to be the Rittenhouse thing. For me, it was the Russiagate, And you're like, well, if they would lie about that, what else would they lie about? And then you start looking under the hood and literally every single story is a lie. It's all lies. Every single story that they've told about Trump, when you look at it in reality, you're like, dude, they just completely lied about that. And they just don't know. They're just uneducated and ignorant. But what they should all be able to figure out very clearly is that a teacher telling children to disown any friends that they have that voted for the other candidate is patently insane. And that's Nazi stuff, dude. Plain and simple. There's no one on the Trump side who is saying that oh man, I wish someone would have shot and killed Biden. Or I wish someone would have shot and killed Kamala. There's no one. That is not a thing. And anyone who said that in a group of us, we would be like, they would just immediately get shot down for that. It would be like, dude, are you out of your mind? Biden's he's the president of the United States. You wish he would have gotten shot? Are you like that? That would be such an unacceptable thing to say. And guess what, dude? 30% of Democrats felt totally fine saying that they wished that it would have hit him and killed him. Okay? These are facts. There is no room for interpretation here on which side is, and they can pretend, oh, well, it's because they're so violent. Based on what? Based on what? Anyway, so obviously that video made me infuriated. Now let's look at this thing now. Okay. So this is something that the teachers union in Minnesota sent out to students. Okay. Or I'm sorry, they posted this on like a public Facebook. Okay. All Minnesotans deserve to feel safe, respected, and welcome, no matter what they look like, who they love, or where they pray. Since Donald Trump's first election, we have seen an increase in bullying, harassment, and racism in our schools. Unfortunately, our students and colleagues are already experiencing trauma and harm following the outcome of Tuesday's election. As educators, we cannot tolerate hate and discrimination. We need to stand together, call it out, and support one another. Education Minnesota staff has compiled some resources and support for you and your students. None of us has all of the answers, but together we can ensure that our schools are safe, welcoming environments where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Okay, like this is what I'm saying. This is like, it's why are they allowed to do this? Like just to be like, oh yeah, hey, by the way, as an entire organization that is responsible for educating students, we've all agreed that Trump and anyone who follows him is a like detriment to society. And that we feel, it's like, how do you feel comfortable putting this out? Can you imagine this in reverse? Especially now that you have to accept that you are not the majority. You are the minority by a long shot, okay? And you live in we all know that they live in a bubble, but just because that's small, it's like, do you really think that it's all a bunch of rednecks that are not like you at all? Like you have tons of friends who secretly voted for Trump that won't even talk to you about it because you're a psycho, okay? You're a psycho. I mean, it's like, I'll give you a perfect metaphor. So like Giselle, my oldest, is a murder machine in jiu-jitsu. Okay. She has a friend in jiu-jitsu, one of her best friends, who's also a killer. Her friend is incredibly competitive, like competitive to the point where she hates to lose. I think it's gangster. Like, I think it's like really, really gangster. I'm not saying this as a negative, but Giselle, when she spars with her, she won't try to win because she knows, she's like, like, I don't really care if, whatever, but if she, if I did like beat her, she'd get mad at me. And it's just like, whatever, it's not worth it. That is like, a tiny kind of like, I don't know, cute 12-year-old version of what we're talking about, where like Trump supporters are like, I know that you're a Kamala supporter. Obviously, I know that you're on the other side. I support the other person. And it's not, and I'm just straight up not even going to tell you, even though we are the vast majority of Americans now, we won't even tell you because we know that you're not going to ask me a question about why. And even if you did, you're not going to listen to the answer, right? Like you're not going to listen. You're just going to label us as whatever, racist people who want to change America into a dictatorship. And then you're going to literally write us off and paint us as like evil people. So you just don't tell them. You just don't even tell them because they're unreasonable, violent, and just absolutely unable to break out of this. Like I did not realize how powerful the mainstream media actually was when they decide on a single narrative that they're going to promote to people. Like, I cannot stress this enough. If you feel like, if you're a person who really did, if this is like, I've captured your attention and you're a person who actually secretly wished that Trump got shot in the face, I cannot stress this enough. And I mean this as genuinely as I could possibly say anything. Stop watching mainstream media for a month. 1 month, dude. Just turn it off, man. Do not watch any mainstream media. Okay? Go find your sources of information elsewhere. Go on YouTube. Look into what YouTube people are credible or or journalists. You know what you really should look for? Journalists who have left the mainstream media because they were not allowed to do stories that were true. You know what I mean? Matt Taibbi, guys like that. Like, go listen to them. And then tell me they're not credible. Go watch a couple Joe Rogan episodes and then tell me he's an unreasonable right-wing lunatic. Like, you are living in a world that is not real. Okay, now speaking of which, now this is a strategy. Okay, so let's listen to Gavin Newsom's little take here.
We are calling and have called for an emergency special session of our state legislature, firmly focused on the values we hold dear that I think are universal values and are American values as it relates to freedoms and individual liberty, as it relates to the issues of reproductive freedom in particular, as it relates to the freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water, and environmental stewardship, planting firmly our feet as it relates to continuing to advance our low carbon green growth strategies. To do the same as it relates to vulnerable communities. We're not going to shrink and we're not going to shy or fall prey to the rhetoric around demeaning and belittling vulnerable communities, scapegoating vulnerable communities. We're going to have their back. We're going to have your back. Even if you don't live in the state of California, we're going to have your back.
Listen, I cannot stress this enough. I really want people to listen to the following statement. Gavin Newsom is an incredible politician. And I could say, if you are on our side and you feel like we just won a massive battle, which we did, that's what's coming in 2028. That's a lot different than Kamala, dude. This is a very different adversary than Kamala. This is going to be a way harder election to win because Trump won't be there, whether it's JD Vance or someone else, and they're going to be up against this dude, okay? Now, do you really think that Gavin Newsom is unaware that there's obviously never going to be any kind of federal abortion ban and that he has there's no risk at all to abortion rights in California? Like not like 0%. It's not going to happen. You think he doesn't know that? Of course he knows that. Right? And what the Trump presidency provides is the ability for him to make believe that he's standing up to some kind of tyrannical federal government control in the face of what Donald Trump is doing. And they're setting him up. He is going to have an incredibly strong campaign. Do not underestimate this dude. I know everybody's like, oh, California, look at all they have to do is just show how California is falling apart. Do not give voters that much credit, okay? Do not do it. They will boldface. He debated Ron DeSantis and with a straight face told Ron DeSantis that California was the state that prioritized personal freedom during the pandemic. He said it straight in Ron DeSantis' face, and DeSantis didn't know what to do because obviously that was going to be Ron DeSantis' argument, and Gavin just straight face was like, well, that's because we prioritize personal freedom in California, which is one of the most ludicrous statements in history, especially from us. We fled Texas directly, 100% due to them taking away our personal freedoms. Okay? But the fact that he can straight face, good looking dude, sharp talk or whatever, you put him in the hot seat, any of these things that Kamala completely bombed. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. Trump was a phenomenal politician, phenomenal, because I don't need to sell you guys on him, but Kamala is one of the worst candidates ever. Horrendous. Can't think under pressure. Has no, you need to be able to stick to your guns. You need to be able to look at someone and say, here's the answer. And that can come from either one of two places. One is your convictions about what's right and what you believe, which is exactly what I do all of the time. All of the time. That's why people respond to my content. I am absolutely certain of that. That the reason why people start watching my stuff and they keep coming back is because they're like, that guy absolutely believes what he's saying. And I do. And I'm not afraid to say when I was wrong at all. The other side is a sociopathic ability to triangulate what people are going to say and just bullshit on the fly. That guy. Okay? And he is deep state all day, every day. This guy is the World Economic Forum's wet dream. And I don't know, dude. I got to be honest. I am, the more I think about the fact that Trump won by such a landslide, the more, I don't know, concerned I get about what comes next. Now, hopefully, they'll just leave it alone and they'll let Trump do his thing for 4 years. They'll run Gavin Newsom and they have not a bad chance of winning with him as a candidate. But what they also might do is they might bring collapse, bring calamity on purpose that they can blame on Trump, and then they can put Gavin Newsom in, and they will use the manufactured collapse that they orchestrated to blame it on Trump. And then when they get Gavin Newsom in, he'll implement all of the draconian fucking nightmarish stuff that we have been fearing all along, right? Because if you think these guys are just going to accept the fact that You know, oh, Trump won, so I guess we lost the war. Yeah, no. They've never lost before. They've never lost before. You know what I mean? They don't lose. Now, they might lose, but in their minds, they don't lose. So, anyway, that teacher is a joke. That's what I got. Love you guys. Bye.